Brandon, let's pop some bottles.
Cheers, Barry. All right, today, what we've opened up is a really fun local producer. This is Lobo Hills. I think a lot of us are familiar with Lobo. The reason I love them so much, low to no intervention, really, really nice, beautifully produced wines, heartfelt wines. And this one in particular, the Syrah, it is this rich and velvety, terroir driven. You are tasting this year's vintage. And I love this so much because a lot of wine produced today is made to be the same every year. It's made just to taste the same. And there's a palate for that. There's folks for that. Absolutely. But this is more old world in style. And so what this really allows you to do is taste that year's vintage, taste what the winemaker is trying to achieve with this wine. And really this wine is harkening back to a Rhône style. This is a Syrah driven wine, and it's rich. It's got backbone to it. And to me, I just felt this is a really nice, easy, approachable style, but rich and complex still. And what this allows us to do is drink a phenomenally complex, but easy and approachable all in the same wine on any night.
Man, I love that. Let's give it a sip. Let's see what it has. Wow.
While you're enjoying that, let me showcase here.
Delish.
Yeah, nice, right? Yeah, super nice. Okay, so we got Lobo Hills right here. We have their Syrah 2020. Really nice price point in the low 30s. Really, really quality wine here. Phenomenal producers. Beautiful, beautiful production.
Yeah, this is rich and lush and meaty, and a little bit of that Syrah smokiness that you get in some of these washes Syrahs. It's super delightful and dark, inky color. I mean, just magnificent.
It does not leave a lot on the table for you. I mean, it is sitting there right on your palate. It's so delicious in the way that wines like this can get to a point where you need something in your mouth to like combat it, right? This is a wine that for me, like when I take this in and I'm giving it that kind of that smell test, it's big and structured and it's nice. But then you taste it. That structure's there, the complexity's there, but the balance is so nice on it that to me, this is why, honestly, a lot of nights we'll take a bottle, we'll sit, we'll have dinner, whatever it is, and then after dinner, we're taking one of these because it's so nice and approachable.
I think that's a great way to do wine. And that's a lot of times how we do wine at our house as well. We have our pre-dinner wine or our dinner wine that we're going to have with actual dinner.
Yeah.
And then, of course, transition into the after-dinner wine, which stands alone. And it's its own experience because I do think one of the common misconceptions that people have is that food and wine always have to be paired.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes certain wines absolutely come to life and can really do some incredible things when you combine them with the right food. Conversely, a good wine can be destroyed by the wrong food, and a good food can be destroyed by the wrong wine. Some are very tricky. And I think one of the things we've strived for here in At the Fox and Bottle is absolutely trying to find, there's some of those special wines out there, right? There's those special wines that should absolutely go with that one dish, that rich salmon, that steak, that pasta. But there should just be a really nice selection of wines that don't need that much TLC, right? Some wines that are just really available to just have anytime. That's this wine. You kind of get the best of both worlds. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good segue kind of into a little bit of our mission and purpose here at Fox and Bottle. We launched a couple of our new episodes, right? Yep. So the new show launched. We had a phenomenal, awesome kickoff. Our last wine club party was incredible. The crew was so fun. We had a blast, and we had a lot of people there who had happened to catch one of the episodes or a couple of the episodes. That was really fun. And I think it's good on this one to kind of explore again a little bit of what the whole mission purpose is, what we're trying to do here, and bring that to life again for people so that we can connect the dots.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the Fox and Bottle has always been about building that community again, bringing people into our space that both either are wine enthusiasts or wine novice. And it's so important for me to see both of those groups of folks enjoying and having that same experience wherever they are in our store. And so we've evolved really from primarily focus on bottle sales and education and that to really listening to our community of Edmonds folks. And what we saw and heard, and actually what we love to do the most here is pour wine, have them have experiences here and provide them that knowledge and education at their pace and really build into this idea that we are truly a sip and shop. And so we've evolved the store from its kind of its roots, that core grouping of, great merchandise collection, but really driving that bottle. We all wanted to be a wine shop. And what I really found was the ability to create those moments and experiences in the store to then let them replicate that when they take that bottle home. That's the full circle. That's the beauty of it. And so keeping it approachable, keeping it fun, fresh, new. I'm bringing in wines from all over the world that I think are just absolutely just dynamic. But the one thing we're not going to ever give in on is the sustainability and the quality of our wines, and the price points aren't going to be ridiculous. So the work we got to do is there, but I really think it's been fun to evolve and build who we are, and then be able to experience that with
I love it. That curation, the community, giving giving people a place where they can go and hang out with other like-minded, cool people and drink good wine. I mean, hello, yes, sign me up for that. I mean, that sounds fantastic. And of course, all of our curated selections of goods and mercantile goods and retail stuff. And it has such a fun feel up there where you kind of have these stations where you're hanging and talking, and then you can get up and wander around, go through some of the merch, some of the cool retail. Everything's always changing. Come back and try a different wine as our wine selection is always rotating. And it is an awesome community, and it really is fun. And I do think the education component isn't overdone here. No pretension. In a really, that selection that you talked about, like here where we're drinking something that you could open this any night of the week and you're going to be absolutely loving it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, this would classify as I'd classify this as maybe an upscale daily drinker. This would be something that you could be happy opening this anytime and sharing it with people who maybe kind of like wine, but they're not super into wine. And this is a great one to share because it's delicious. There are some wines, though, that I'm very particular about that I wouldn't share unless I knew a person had deep love for wine, and I would have to have deep love for that person to want to share that wine with them. And so we have something we want to talk about with that too, don't we?
Absolutely. The last point I'd say on this wine, and I say this with the utmost respect, is this is a safe wine. That does not mean that it's not complex, and that it does not have a lot of layers and value to it. It's just safe because, like you said, I can share this with just about anybody, and they're going to smile. It's going to work.
Totally. This would not work for a person. There are some people who Syrahs can feel overbearing and feel a little bit dense, and I would say this one doesn't. It touches on that category, but it does not absolutely bury you in the Syrah-ness. No, totally. This is a super delicious and approachable wine. So I would 100% agree. This is one you could share with anybody. Bring anywhere, and you will make friends with a wine like this.
And I think if you look at this is so again, I'm going to kind of stay in that Rhône world, right? The Rhône Valley, that Syrah, Grenache, Mourvèdre. Those are kind of the more common red grapes out of there. I think we've heard the term GSM. That's Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre. Those are the big three. You add in Sancerre, and there's a couple other ones around the periphery on that. But when we think of Rhône, one name stands out, at least to me, when I was learning and kind of growing up in this wine industry: Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Châteauneuf-du-Pape is kind of this marker of beauty and elegance and silkiness and structure all in one. And to me, a Châteauneuf is one of those special wines. This is not not on my budget, at least. This is not an every night drinker, but I wanted to highlight one that I've fallen in love with and I've carried since day one, because I have a phenomenal rep at Petit Mon. His name's Jason. He's incredible. And so this wine right here, it's Domaine de la Biscarale, and this is a Châteauneuf-du-Pape. I believe it's 2021. This is one of the most classic styles where you're going to get a variation vintage to vintage. So what this does, the 2019 was predominantly Grenache and just a sprinkle of Syrah and Mourvèdre. This one is less Grenache, still dominant, but it's far more Syrah. So it's a little more bolstered, has a little bit more backbone to it. And that's old world style. That's what they do. They really want to make it so that you are feeling that year in the bottle. Now, this producer's been around for hundreds of years, so they're doing something right. They are crushing it. The price point goes up, but it's also one of those where it takes time. So you open the bottle, you let it sit, you decant it, you give it its time, its moment, I think of it. And so wine, although it's meant to be drank on most nights, just hanging out, drinking, there's certain bottles that you got to respect the process. And this is one of those bottles. But yet again, even saying that, if you opened it and drank it, you'd love it, you know. But to get to its full capacity, what it is, it's one of those where you just kind of take it easy.
Yeah, it's like a date night with your wine.
Yeah,
you know,
I
you
love
just
it. Exactly.
got to let it warm up. You know, you got the small talk, you're making connection. You know, you're just like letting that chemistry build, and then you're kind of going in for that first kiss, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. We're romancing the wine a little bit, folks. Don't always rush it.
Don't always rush it. Romance the wine. That's so funny. That's exactly what this is. It's giving it its space to do its thing, and then connection.
I will say, you have a love of French wine.
I do.
And Washington wine.
Yep.
That is also something that makes the store unique, and something that I think is a unique angle that you bring to it, because you've brought up a couple of times on today's show and other times this kind of old world, new world. And one of the distinctions that you brought up that I think is really key is this old world production style that emphasizes the time and place of, you know, of the grape, of the weather, of everything that was happening, kind of going into this wine, so that the wine has uniqueness and different characteristics for different vintages. And you kind of highlighted that against this notion of consistency of wine. And that also sometimes reminds me of musicians. Like, we all have musicians that we love. And sometimes, you know, musicians will put out albums that are very similar, and people love that, and they want it to kind of be the same. Like, every album is basically the same album, and some people love that. But then you have other artists who are wildly, you know, experimental, and every album is like a reflection of where they are in their life and what's going on, right? And it's a little bit more of a poetry, kind of poetic kind of vibe. And that's what I think about the wines that you love. A lot of them have more of that poetic, unique element of the time and place, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. No, I think that's a perfect analogy to how we view wine as well. It's it brings you to a memory, a moment, and a place. And I think so similar to music, if you listen to, I don't know, the first thing that popped in my mind was like James Taylor. Okay, so James Taylor of the 70s versus James Taylor of the 90s, those are vastly different styles of music. And James Taylor is one of my favorites. It's one of the artists that my dad and we bonded on. And I remember driving to the airport on vacations, and I'm sitting in the middle seat, I'm listening to James Taylor, but I know exactly what album it is because of the style. Right. And so when we're tasting wine, and I'm thinking through vintages, thinking through weather, thinking through, did the winemaker change? Did the sun take over the property? Or if it's a domestic wine, did they sell off and it's a different winemaker? You can taste that, and that difference will kind of give you the place and time. And then take that into your personal life. How does that make you feel? So when you're drinking a wine, what style are you putting with what moment and memory that you're trying to create? And I think here at the Fox and Bottle, what we do when we talk to our club members, or when we talk to customers who come in, we talk about the wine in moments and experiences. And what are you trying to not achieve necessarily, but are you bringing it to a party, or are you going home for dinner? And that's really important, because it's not just about varietal. It's not just about, you know, the producer. It's really about, how do you want to experience this? And it's so funny you bring up music, because that's exactly how I've always thought about music. Is a song brings you back to a moment. For me, wine has always brought me back to a moment.
Exactly. It's like they're very similar in that way. And that's, it just pops into my mind. The musician I was thinking about was Taylor Swift, because she always gets so much hate, like on every new album that she does. And then people end up like loving it and being obsessed with it. But everybody has like a really hard kind of like shift between album to album.
A lot of opinions.
Yeah, a lot of opinions on the Taylor album.
Oh, it's so funny too. My dad will get a crack out of this. I love Mumford Sons. One of my favorites.
Me too.
And he just goes, every song is him just wailing on the guitar. I go, yeah, but there's some nuance there.
But I like the way he wails. And I mean, it does. Yeah, I mean, it's all good, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, back to, the wines are the Chateau. That one, I believe, actually, I think you sent that out with one of my friends when he was going to drop by to see the new house. And he brought that over as a housewarming present. And we cracked it.
Yeah.
And we did let it sit out for a bit, and we got into it. And it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, so delicious, silky, smooth, rich. I mean, it was a cool wine to have him bring over. And that's the kind of thing you're talking about, right? Whereas like Pete wanted to know, hey, I'm going over to my buddy's house. It's brand new. They're so excited. What should I bring to celebrate?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I know what Barry likes. Bring this.
Yeah, 100%. You got to like the style for sure. But then within that style, there's certain producers that are just phenomenal, that just always hit. And the thing that I love about specifically Old World, but a lot of producers here in Washington are doing this. So like Lobo Hills is a great example. They're sticking to that low to no intervention, sustainable farming, bringing you to the grape as it's supposed to be shown versus this idea of like, we're going to take the grapes we have and make this across the board. And to me, you lose a little bit of that character, right? Well, you lose a lot of that character, but you may have a great product. So when Pete comes in and says, hey, here's the situation, I know exactly, what we do here is we learn our customers. And so, not only are we good friends now, but it's I would have known what you like anyway. And so I go right to a style and a section, but I know the producer. I know what we're going to give because it's going to crush. It's just going to be there for you.
Totally. Well, if that sounds fun and interesting to you, hopefully by now where to find us. So we're right here in the middle of downtown Edmonds, frankly, one of the greatest places on earth. And so to be here is a wonder and a treat anyways. But then to have such a cool community place for people to come and enjoy wines like this on the regular with our rotating wines, by the glass and all kinds of cool stuff on the shelves you can take home. It's something special. And so thanks for being here on this episode with us. And we're looking forward to catch you on the next one.
Cheers.
Until then, pop some bottles.